So yeah, just like crazy. Just total crazy.
Yeah.
I know, it just feels good.
Yes, a rabbit seat.
Actually standing. Well, I want to welcome all of you. Most of you know who I am, which I won't spend a whole lot of time on my own introduction. But it's there. Have a quiet. I don't usually do the intro. So, we know that there's lots of places that you could be tonight, and we appreciate that you're just taking some time to be with us. So I encourage you all, since you're here, to really, put aside whatever worries you have, put aside the day that you've had, and take, an hour with us to really focus in on what we're going to share with you tonight. We're really excited about what we're doing here. We really feel that, he took off with one.
No, I got it right here.
Oh, we thank you for being here tonight. There we go. The awesome switch it up. So tonight, you're going to hear a lot about sort of why the folks who invited you here tonight, your mom asking you to come tonight, because she really wants you to hear what we're focused on. What this group of people have decided is really worth caring about in this world to make a difference, how we're approaching the problem, and what our real sort of larger vision is for how we as a group can make a difference. So with that, Sue Twiddell is going to come up and she's going to talk about sort of the problem and what we're really focused on here. And then she's going to be joined afterwards by Wade Spolsky, district leader, and he's going to talk a little bit more about sort of tactically, what's the real solution that we have to some of the real key problems that are facing our country and our communities. And then my fabulous husband, Brett Sears, will come up and really give, there we go, nice. I'm glad that you're cheering yourself.
You don't seem to do that for anybody else.
Well, he just walked in the room in his defense, because that's my job.
Okay.
United front, come on. To give you a little bit, of a larger scale as to how each of us in this room can really make a difference if we come together as a team. So, Sue, why don't you come on up?
Thanks, Robin. That wasn't that a treat? Robin's up here, I don't know how many weeks pregnant anymore. 34, 35? 35.
Robin, you're pregnant?
Oh my God, I couldn't tell, could you? I mean, like, you didn't even know. It was like awesome. It was like such a surprise. Awesome.
That was the surprise.
Yeah, exactly. Especially after we were told a couple weeks ago, you're not going to see her for 12 weeks.
Yeah. You just can't keep it.
You can't keep her down, which is really awesome. So, and you know what, like Robin was saying, we really want to share with you what we're doing here, why it's important to us. And so with that in mind, I wanted to kind of have you think for just a second. Back to some things that you already know, and hopefully just kind of bring them to the front of your mind again, okay? Because when we were thinking about this business, there's some things that actually struck us, some things that we absolutely knew. And the first one was, if I can get that thing to work, is we know there's a whole group of people called the wealthy. Everybody agrees with that, yeah?
Yep.
All right. And the wealthy have pretty much everything institutionalized. I mean, if you get down to it, their kids are going to college, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they've got opportunities and ownership. They own businesses. They don't work for somebody else, true?
Right.
Okay, financial freedom, come and go as they want.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have this one guy, I think I've told this story a bunch of times, but I don't think all of you have heard it, that literally he got to pick up and he would go to New York and then to England just for the weekend, go see a play, then come on back. And it was amazing to me. And I went, oh, this is nice. I kind of want that too. So the wealthy, right?
Right.
And then financial guidance, all the financial guidance that they want. Because the financial advisors, they're going to sit down with the people that have
The money.
the money. Absolutely. So it makes sense. A couple other things that we knew. We also know there's another group of people down here called the not so wealthy or the financially dependent. The good news is the government actually takes care of these people. Now it's good news to a point. We don't want more people pushing a cart around out on the street or anything. We really do. By the way, there's 2,000 homeless people here in this
Wow.
alone. So yeah, we don't want that. So it's really awesome to know that they can have free preschool. Their kids can go to preschool. They also have free childcare. They can go to work and somebody's going to pay for that. That's a big deal. College grants, their kids are going to college, financial support, and all sorts of financial opportunities. And again, it's really good to have a system like this in place because we never know when we might be part of this group. And if we are, that support is really welcome. Yeah? Here's the other thing though. There's a really big group of people in between that I don't know about you, but I'm a member. And I'm guessing most of us are. And this group of people we call a lot of different things. I like to say it's all the rest of American families. But we'll also call them Main Street families. Okay? And that's me. And I'm guessing that that's probably you as well. Do we want our kids to go to preschool? Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. But who's going to pay for it for us? Anybody? Anybody have little kids, by the way? Anybody in here preschool teachers? We know how expensive it is, right? But it's important because we want them to have that jump start. Okay, how about going to college? We want our kids going to college? Yeah. Is it expensive? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've always heard too. Okay? And then we talk about business ownership. And this is where I'm going to stop for just a second because when I talk about business ownership, I start to think about some things that I know. My dad was a business owner. And business ownership here is a challenge because most of us can't really afford to start the business and stay in business long enough to make a go of it. So I was very, very lucky because my dad was a business owner. And because he was a business owner, we could borrow some things from up there. And I was able to go to college and not have to have anybody worry about it. It was paid for. It was paid for my sisters and brothers. So I got to borrow a little bit of what the wealthy were doing and bring it down here so that I could actually see it. I also got to watch I was actually a dental hygienist. And I went to school and that's what I got my degree in, was dental hygiene. And I got to watch the dentists build their businesses. So I was familiar with it from two sides, watching somebody else do it as being an employee and watching my dad do it as getting some of the advantages from it, which is kind of interesting. And then we also talk about financial advice because wouldn't we want the same advice that the wealthy have? This is another thing, you know, it's funny because I keep thinking back to this. When I got started with Primerica, which was about 16 years ago, one of the reasons that I did is because nobody would sit down with me and tell me the information. I didn't have a financial advisor. I didn't have $250,000 for somebody to invest for me. So nobody was going to sit down and tell me what a mutual fund was, and how you start to invest, and how do you do all of this? See, I'm going to suggest that our whole group of people doesn't really have access to this information. In fact, we don't really have access to the support systems from down here, and we don't really have access to the support systems from there. Which means we don't really have the access that we need, right? And we're kind of abandoned, if you look at it, just a little bit. And abandoned in the best sense of the term, not like out in the cold on the streets or anything, but I wanted that information, and I'm guessing you guys aren't any different. So if we make too much money to take advantage of this and not enough to take advantage of that, and we work really hard to pay the taxes to support this group, and buy the goods and services for this group, what do we normally do? You see a problem? Yeah, we do. We live paycheck to paycheck. We work to build somebody else's dreams. And we generally turn to what we know. Well, what do we know? Well, we know that there's banks, and there's lenders, and there's life insurance companies, and there's corporate America, right? Are the banks ever going to get us wealthy? They weren't. I think my savings account, I think, makes what? Less than 1%. It's not happening. And I'm guessing nobody else's does either, right? How about lenders? They're to get us out of debt? Probably not. Insurance companies, they're there for themselves, let's face it. Corporate America. How many of your bosses want you to own a business? I'm pretty sure my bosses didn't either. But I had to own a business. My dad had always told me, you know what, that's the opportunity is in business ownership. You will never get to where you want to go not owning. Who's coming to fix all this? Who's knocking on your door? Nobody was knocking on my door. I didn't have the information for all this stuff. And the truth is, we accept it. We accept it. We go on our day-to-day lives, right? I mean, don't we wake up in the morning and we eat breakfast and we get the kids to school and we go to work and then we come back home and we have dinner and we spend some time with the kids and watch TV and our life goes on and every once in a while we have a vacation. But how often do we actually think about this stuff? Why? See, my suggestion is that it really isn't real until it's personal. And it really doesn't become personal until something hits us. Maybe we're the ones who all of a sudden got let go from a job. Or somebody passed away in the family and there wasn't enough money there. Or all of a sudden, our kids want to go to college and where's the money coming from? So now it's really personal. Now it hits us. And we go, wait a second. Something's wrong here. And a group of us got together and said, you know what? This isn't okay. We think we can do something about this. In fact, we know we can do something about it because it's not a matter of if this is showing up, it's just a matter of when. Now, I don't know how much of a down roll of that was because that kind of opened our eyes to what's really going on out there and you start thinking, go, oh my gosh, this is really true. And this would be really, really sad if that was all we were going to do tonight. But I have some good news because a group of us said, we really believe this can be we can help this now. And we do have a strategy. So what I want to do is I would love to have you guys welcome Wade up here. And he's going to talk to you a little bit about the strategy that we can. So welcome, Wade.
All right. So I think we're all like a little relaxed right now. I think the energy levels we're kind of displaying is cool. That's good. But I'm going to pump us up a little bit because I'm going to talk about something that gets us all excited. I'm going to start talking about thinking. We're going to talk about chess for about 30 minutes right now. You guys are all going to be excited, all right? So no, we're not really going to actually talk about actual chess. But can we all agree that the wealthy think about money in a different way than the people that don't have as much money as they do, correct? Right. They treat their money differently than, say, the people in the middle that Sue talked about, the Main Street families. Because we know, look, I used to think that wealthy people became wealthy because they inherited their money, and that's how it happened, right? And roughly 3/4 of millionaires in the United States, though, are first generation. So what that means is that it's not true that there's some, we don't live in India where there is a caste system where the very, very, very wealthy people basically are born wealthy, and that group never changes because they make sure, the system makes sure that group never changes. There is opportunity in this country, and all we have to do is maybe get some better information, all right? We can't improve our skills about money if we don't have the right information about money. So step number 1 is getting the correct information. So how do the wealthy think about money, and what do the wealthy do to create it? Well, the first thing that they do is they lock in advances for a family. Now, this other side of that stat that I told you is that there is 25% to 30% of the country that is born wealthy, okay? Once families get to a certain level of wealth, most of them enter into arrangements for estate planning and human capital and teach their kids about college so that their kids don't go backwards, all right? One of the biggest problems that wealthy children have is what do they do, but it's never, they're gonna lose the money because they've got that stuff most of the time handled. So they learn to lock in advances for future generations. The second thing that happens is that they develop habits. So once you learn how to make money, you understand that it's the same habits that you do every single day over and over. In ownership, we know that if a business needs certain things to run, okay, and those things need to be done, and they need to be done habitually. If they don't, if you have a sizzler and you don't habitually order the inventory, one day people show up to get the steaks, right? I just like to say sizzler that way, nobody else likes it, but it gets me excited. But if we come in, I want to order a steak, it says that they don't have steaks, that's because they weren't habitually making sure that all the inventory was done correctly. Well, the same is with money. Over and over again, they treat their money the same way. And those, just like farming, every year we plant the same way, we get roughly the same crop, the same thing as with money. So it's those developing those habits. And they leverage experts. They understand that they don't need to know everything. Ford, the guy that basically invented the assembly line for the automobile, he was deposed in some court proceeding once, and they were trying to cross-examine him on his knowledge about world affairs, on math, and things like that. And he had only had a very low level of education. And he said, look, something, I'm just paraphrasing here, but something to the effect of, I don't have to know everything, but I've got buttons on my desk where I can press it and I can talk to any expert in the world on what I need. And that's what the wealthy understand. Why would I spend hours and hours and hours and hours of my life getting good at things that I can just call someone on the phone? Like if I want to know really obscure sports facts, I call Brett Sears and say, Brett Sears, give me an obscure sports fact. I don't need to learn that stuff. Brett knows that. He's an expert for that. And then also what they do is they cultivate strategic partnerships. They understand the concept that we can all accomplish more together than we can apart. All right. Now, so we all intrinsically know these things, and we all do some of these things ourselves. But one thing I want you to understand is the synergistic effect. The word is so powerful I can't even pronounce it correctly, right? The synergistic effect of these four things, okay? When you are doing anything and you do all of the parts well, they can create more than the sum or than the individual parts themselves. The sum of the parts can create more than the individual parts. That's why in farming, when you plant a bushel of seed, you don't get 1 to 1, you get 1 to 10. And the reason that is because in farming, I like to use that as an example because I grew up in North Dakota, don't hold that against me, but is that if you make sure that your fertilizer is okay, make sure that you're okay with the almanac, with the weather, and you make sure that you're doing the fields correctly, sometimes you leave them fallow. All those things come together and they create a 10 to 1, 10 to 1, so it's a math, somebody help me.
Ratio.
Thank you. See, I'm a lawyer, we don't know math and science, all right? But it's the synergistic effect creates more than just doing, I'm getting so upset I'm falling down, creates more than just doing it itself. So they understand that these things, that's how powerful they are. Now, the power of partnership, okay? So why is Primerica important talking about money, talking about these things? Well, look, what I want you to understand is that Primerica is a business since 1977 and has $2 billion in market capitalization. Raise your hand if you're in the audience and you have access to $2 billion. One of these weeks, somebody's going to do that. I'll be like, I need to talk to you, okay? But until that person shows up that has $2 billion, we can leverage this capital for our businesses, all right? The other issue about them, too, is that they have a track record of delivering for Main Street families. Sue did a great job of talking about the access gap. The access gap is effectively is that there's this group up here that, what I just talked about, they have the correct habits and thoughts about money. There's a group down here that has very little habits and thoughts about money, and the government takes care of them. And then there's everybody in the middle, all right? So everybody in the middle needs help. Well, this company, all they do is specialize about helping those people in the middle, about closing that access gap. Because the people below the line, they have the government and churches helping them. They don't need any more help. The people above the line, every single institution that is created about money deals with them. But these people in the middle, on that graph that she showed, are totally, nobody's helping them. So Primerica said, we're going to fill that gap. And we as a group here decided we want to help to fill that gap because we feel passionate about it. And what better company to leverage than somebody with $2 billion who's been in business for over 30 years and who specializes in that gap itself. So Primerica really is the perfect company to do that. And they also, there's one other thing about leveraging them is like, look, does anybody here want to learn how to create, like, I'm sorry, you were talking to me about, what was the name of the company? FM Global? FM Global, where there was a guy that created an insurance product for factory owners. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'm going to go do that. Does anybody have a desire to go create an insurance product here?
Yeah.
If you do, raise your hand. I'll ask you to leave immediately. Anybody? All right, good. So, and I'm going to talk a little bit about why that's important. The reason why that's important is because I don't want to have to do that stuff. You don't want to have to do that stuff. But we need to, if we're going to close that access gap, we know that we have to bring the 4 things that I just talked about to Main Street families. Well, there's only 2 ways to do that. If we want to really help Main Street families or even learn it ourselves, there's only 2 ways to do that. One is we create the products ourselves, or 2, we leverage another company that's already done the products for us that we know are good for families, all right? And frankly, if we're going to do this part-time or if we're going to learn it ourselves, forget about doing it part-time. If you just want to learn it yourself, right, you only have a limited amount of time yourself. So why don't we go to the experts who know about that? So if we're locking in advances for a family, our version of doing that for Main Street families is level term insurance. Basically what we do is we borrow a giant bag of money so that we're bulletproof. If anything happens to me, my wife gets a giant bag of money, right? That way I make sure is that she doesn't go back, or my family doesn't go back back to where they were before. They're going to go to where they are now or go better. So that's our version of that is level term insurance. I like a little check mark there. It's like, geez. I need a sound effect though. Just go boom like that, right?
Cash register. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Little cash register.
Well, yeah, okay, or just like a boom, solid, right? Okay, so with the word solid, right? Develop habits. All right, so our version of that is mutual funds. Look, doing the right thing over and over and over and over, it has to have a return on it, but also it has to be able to be duplicatable to other areas of your life. Well, with regards to money, one of the easiest way to teach people the habits of doing that is being like, let's teach you about putting money in a mutual fund, which is, past returns are no indication of what's going to happen in the future, but relatively safe in terms of for your money. And so what we can do is we can start to develop habits about your money easily with something that's easily explainable, right? So then we can bootstrap it from there. If I can get you, I'm sorry, what's your name? Arturo's friend, what's your name? That would be really weird if your name was Arturo's friend's name. That'd be really strange. Okay. So Arturo and Patrick, right? You guys are about the same age, right? Yeah. Okay, how old are you? 20. How old are you? You're close to the same age. All right, perfect. So if you start saving right now, I'm talking like $100 a month, right? The time you're 65, you're going to have somewhere between $800,000 and $1 million in the bank for $100 a month. Arturo, did you spend $100 last month on something?
No.
Okay. In the last 3 months, have you spent $100 on something?
Yes.
Okay, right? Do you still have that something you spent it on?
No.
Okay. Perfect. What I'm trying to tell you is like, look, if you take $10 and save, it doesn't really matter. But if you learn those lessons now when you're 21, I'm 42, all right? I didn't learn this lesson until I was 37. So you can beat, if you want to compete with me, you can beat me. Somebody do the math, 37 minus 21 is 16 years. You have 16-year advantage of me by saving, even if it's only $100 a month or $10 a month or whatever you're doing, all right? I don't want to freak you out because I'm just talking to you now, apparently, right? No. But the key is that if we can get our children to develop habits in the mutual funds, how hard is it going to be to get him to say, okay, now we've got you in mutual funds, let's talk about locking in some advances. Or let's talk about, once you have the mutual funds, and we can leverage the experts of managed accounts. Once he has more money, he's like, okay, I've been in the workforce now, and he's 30 years old. What do you want to be when you grow up?
Machinist operator.
Perfect. So he's a machinist operator. He's making an excellent wage. He's a skilled worker, right? And he's been saving his money because we're teaching him when he's, he's 21, 22. 8 years from now he's got a bigger chunk of money. We're like, all right, let's start leveraging experts. How easy is it going to be for us to help him do that when he already feels comfortable because he's been doing the habits of money for 10 years, okay? The key is that these things all basically are just information-based, and money makes us uncomfortable, all right? The reason why money makes us uncomfortable is because very few of us, our parents taught us anything that we know about money. They just said, go do it, go work, and go spend money, right? I had a really good experience talking to Sue that she talked about her dad owned a business and drilled it into her that you have to own a business. My father drilled that into me too, that you also have to own a business. Sue, how much did your dad teach you about owning a business?
0.
How much did my dad teach me about owning a business? 0, right? They knew enough to tell us, you got to own a business, but they didn't teach us anything. Now, we're ahead of the game in certain respects because in our mind, I don't have to convince myself I have to own a business. I just have to go to the next step. Just like once you master mutual funds, you can go to the next step to manage accounts. It's not bad. It's just how information works and how passing information from people to people work, okay? Does that make any sense?
Mhm.
Am I just stunning you guys into silence? Is that what's happening? All right. And then the other issue is cultivating strategic partnerships. Well, what we do with that is that our strategic partnerships are Primerica and our advocates, okay? And the great thing about that is like, look, I already talked about Primerica, that in business, if we're in business for ourselves, that we can leverage the products of Primerica that will help us close this gap. Also, too, if I just want to learn about money, Primerica, you can teach that to me, I can leverage them that. But also for our advocates, look, I've learned a few things about business because I've dedicated my life over the last 6 years of learning how to be an entrepreneur. Right? So Sue has done the same thing. Sue's been an entrepreneur longer than I have. I can leverage Sue's expertise to increase my ability to be an entrepreneur, to learn things about business. And at the same time, too, is that people that have me as their strategic partner, I can go to them and be like, look, I spent 6 years learning how to be a businessman. I might know a thing or two that I can help you with, at least give you the information, and you can decide if you want to use it or not. But if you decide to use it, then you can apply it to your skill. Right? That's it. All I have is some information that I've gained over 6 years, and let me save you 6 years and boil it down into 4 minutes. Or same thing with money. We've spent a lot of time figuring out what the wealthy do. Let me boil it down for you in 6.5 minutes and show you what that is. And so I get super excited about this because that's all we're trying to do is close that gap, either the economic gap through the way that we do with our business or the information gap to help teach people about money, because it's just a 6-minute conversation. Now, it took us a few years to get this together, but that's all that we do. And that's what we get excited about. And so look, I really appreciate you guys talking to me. So I got to kind of give you, and Brett's going to talk about this, but this plan here is a 2 to 3 generation game plan. Arturo, your grandchildren get to be rich. So if you just take this plan, right, and you learn to do this and apply this, and you teach your children's children will get rich. And you say, all right, now that doesn't do anything for you, but I promise you this. My great-grandfather sacrificed a lot for my grandfather and my dad. And that generation would have been really pumped up to know that we're rich, right? Okay, or going to be rich. And that's great, right? But I just learned this information, so it's my grandkids as well. Maybe there's another way that maybe I can kind of leverage some of this information and share that with us. Is the great Brett Sears.
Oh man, you guys excited?
Oh, yeah.
I am fired up right now. Thank you guys for being here. And it's funny. I'm in the back of the room and we're just starting this, right? We've been in business a long time and kind of go through it. I'm counting and there's not like, and for the folks that it's the first time you're hearing, I'm so excited about the information that gets across and the opportunity that we're at, because there's so much. And my job tonight, and all the speakers' job tonight, is to really kind of give this foundation. And we sat down and said, look, the number one thing we've got to do is make sure that the people in our lives understand what we're doing, right? And that's the most challenging thing, right? And so we said, how do we do this, and what is our passion? Why are we doing this, right? And so Wade talked about this 2 to 3 generation plan, and that sounds great. I've got a 10-year-old, 12-year-old. We're about to have twins that are coming to go, man, how nice it is to know that they're going to have a shot to make sure that our grandkids have freedom is awesome. But 50 years seems like a long time. Seems like a long time? Yeah. Right? And so it was, wait, if we really want to close this gap, right? I'm an emotional guy, but I also want to live in integrity. Say, look, if I'm going to say we're going to spend our time, if we're going to be away from our kids, if my 8-month pregnant wife's going to be here, right, because we wants to share that, if we're going to do that, then we want to know that what we're doing is delivering at every phase. It's one thing to sit down. Look, we cannot, as the game plan, the way it went through, when we sit down with someone, we cannot get someone financially wealthy in 1 generation. We don't make enough money. I don't care what. I talk to someone, they're like, I make $500,000. Yeah, but you live like you make 900 grand. You're not saving enough cash. That's right? So the reality is, we said, look, check 1 is make sure that you and your family get financially free. Financial security, financial independence is a key component. That is the responsibility. Right? Arturo can hear this tonight, and it can go through his ears and out and go, and 12 years from now, it can be like, hey, I never started that. Or he can say, Mom, let's make sure we get this started, and that habit will grow. Right? When I got the business, I was 22 years old. I was $24,000 of credit card debt. The only thing I knew about money is I didn't have any. I started with a $38 life insurance policy because I was going to make sure my niece went to college if I passed away, and a $31 mutual fund because I had about $70 to work with. Now, was I going to get rich on $70, $31 in a mutual fund? Was that like total freedom? No. But $31 turned to 50 pretty quickly. And 50 turned to 100, and 100 turned, y'all with me? Right? So we said, look, we got to check that off. But talk about inspiration. I sat there and said, 50 years is great, but what about 1 generation? If we really want to close this gap, Sue talked a lot about this access gap, and the wealthy in this country, they've got access to ownership. Look, we can rearrange the deck chairs. The Titanic's still going down.
Yeah.
Right? So I was reading today, 2015, the baby boomers, the youngest baby boomers turned 50. Wow. 50 years old this year. You guys understand that that's crazy to think about. Retirement for that group is 18 years from now. What's about to occur in our economy is the largest group of people are like, yeah, we can finally go to the movies for cheap. Like, that's the big deal. So we said, but the reality is we're going to work forever.
Right.
And so we said, wait a second, there's got to be something different. And said, okay, what's this one generation plan? What really differentiates the wealthy and Main Street families? What's the major difference? It's ownership. It's access to ownership. It's a support system. It's a learning. It's all that stuff, right? It's one thing, right? Everyone, hey, you got to be an owner. You got to be an owner. How? I have no idea. Why? Because most of them chased an income and not learned how to build a business. And so we learn how to shift our dynamics, right? Our kids can usually see a little bit higher than we can because it's just normal. And so if this is normal, you can see, your kids can see this. If this is normal, you can see this, right? I remember Arturo, right? When we sat down, right? Arturo Jr., right? Right? He sits there, his vision is, you guys have done your job. He's like, I can see this. I can see a good job. I can see good income. I can see saving. All that stuff that you guys took for granted and had to learn, he already knows. But that's that level of vision. Does that make sense? Which is where what Wells was doing. She sat back and said, okay, so it's one thing to say ownership. Okay, great. Thanks for coming. I learned the secret. I got to own. Woohoo! I almost figured out it's not that simple. See, it's one thing to say we've got to have ownership, but there's some things that we need. So we got back and said, okay, if we really want to close this gap, Patrick, if we really want to do it, we got to be real. We got to take all the bullshit stuff away. I'm trying this year to not cuss on camera, right? So, right, we're not real, just on camera, right? So we said, okay, if we're going to really do this, we got to be real. We got to know what's really going on. And so what do we need? One, we have to realize that some people are different than others. And that's not good or bad. I'm not saying some people are better than others, which they are. No, I'm joking, right? But some different. There are people that have something inside them that says, I don't want to feel like this anymore. There's got to be something more. There's got to be something that, God, I thought it should be more, right? There's something that stirs inside. And there are others that just don't have that sense of feeling. One's not good or bad, but should we convince people to do something big that don't want to do something big? No. Right? We said, look, that's our number one goal. Is look, we want to be able to harness that entrepreneurial spirit. When something falls in the right ears, man, there's an opportunity to do it. We've got to have a leverageable support system. What does that mean? We've got to have people who know what the heck they're doing because we're not good at everything. Most small businesses work like this that I've read and studied, right? A mechanic starts working in a shop. He's good at working in a shop. All of a sudden, him and his boss get in a fight. He's been doing side work on the weekends, and he goes, blank you, I'm going to go do this myself. And he opens his own little shop, and he brings his clients with him, right or wrong. Fill in the blank with the product. I don't care if it's a lawyer, I don't care if it's an accountant, I don't care if it's a mechanic, I don't care if it's a contractor. That's usually about how this works, right or wrong. Right. And whoever it is good at doing the service. So the mechanic's good at being a mechanic. You know why? Because he's brought people with him. So they said, hey, you're pretty good at this. What does that mechanic know about running a business? Nothing. So what do? They do the front of the work, front of the work, front of the work. Things are good. But then there's all this stuff that's happening in the back. Who's taking care of it? No one. So all of a sudden, here's our small business owner going, oh, shoot, there's a fire back there. I'll be right back. And they go over here and they deal with this. But then all of a sudden, the clients are like, hey, and they want to eat, so they got to do this. And they're constantly, but pretty soon, all of the challenges in the back start making bigger and bigger problems. Right? They start getting tired. They start getting frustrated. They start getting confused. We said, man, if we're going to close this gap, not only do we have to find the ones with the spirit, but we have to have a leverageable support system so that we can keep great people at the front lines, helping to grow, turning in the entrepreneur, and make sure the stuff that needs to get taken and taken care of in the back is being taken care of at a high level because the demand is that high. Man, we could do that, and then, so we could take care of those. But look, I was 22 years old. I was broke, but I was making $1,000 a month. And you're like, it's only $1,000. You're right, but food didn't cost $1,000. So I'm like, man, I couldn't walk away from what we're doing. We said, if we really wanted to do this, we want to be able to build with the best of the best. We said, man, we need a legitimate path. And whether someone's making $1,000 a month or $1,000 a day, right? It's just a component of math. If there was a legitimate path that we could show somebody how to build and transition them out, we could legitimately provide access to ownership. But we got to solve for these three. Right. So we sat back and said, okay, what do we got? What is our opportunity? Well, we're talking about right? We're the biggest, we're a business incubator designed on purpose to create and sustain a high level of entrepreneurs. That's what we do. Someone asked me what I do is I work with entrepreneurs. I teach people how to be successful owners, how to leverage support systems. Those are the conversations. That's the conversations that we get to do is find the folks that have the spirit and the desire and said, okay, look, we can solve this problem. Right? If you're going to look at any business, right, in terms of this, there's always 4 questions. What's the market? Who's the competition? What's the need? And what's the opportunity? Wouldn't you agree? Those are 4 pretty simple. You can have the greatest product in the world. If no one buys it, doesn't matter. So we said, man, our market's critical. Well, people make between 25,000 and 250,000 in this country is about 70 million. Can we all agree that's a pretty good sized market?
Right.
Competition. You think the banks, insurance companies, lenders, are they showing up for this group of people?
No.
No. So our competition is literally no one. So who's our market? Everyone. Who's our competition? None. If you live, you need to eat. So savings is good. If you die, does your family need to eat?
Yes.
So protecting is good. If you have a life, you need to plan because eating is still good. So whether you live, die, or are living, you need somebody to help you in a topic no one's coming. So the need is vital. And we've got a $2.9 billion company as a venture, as our backer, whose checks never bounce. They said, build it as big as you want, and our checks never bounce. So if you had a business opportunity where the market was everybody, the competition was nobody, the need was vital, and the opportunity was unlimited, do you think you could be successful? Well, for America's created more 6-figure earners and more millionaires than any company in American history. We're not trying to figure this out. But it hasn't happened to us. Track record is great because it says, hey, something's possible. But when you live on track record, we don't make the impact on the people that we're talking to. And so that's our cause. That's crusade. Right? Rob and I started, literally, we were laughing going, right? Our business is 26, 27 days old. We started this growth process January 1st. I've been here 18 years, and we started over in January. Said we're never starting over again. We're going to gather this up, and we are going to start where we stand, and we are going to build. And we are going to build something bigger and stronger than we ever have before because we're clear, and we get to decide who we get to build with and make sure they're proud of every phase of what we're doing. So we sat back and said, okay, look, what is this path? Well, to do anything, we can have the greatest opportunity in the world, but we said, man, we need low capital entry. Why? Because I didn't have an extra $5,000, $10,000, or $50,000 to be able to start a business. They say it makes most small businesses 5 years to make $1 profit. Who can afford to do that? If you go to this access gap, the only people are the folks that already have it. That's why the system is rigged. It's designed to do that. Now, look, I never want anyone to think, well, you don't like wealthy people. No, I want to be one soon. Like, I'm cool with all the support system. I think it's great. But the reality is the taxes of this group pay for these services, right or wrong?
Right.
And their discretionary income pays for the benefits of these people.
Yes.
If we know we're the richest, most powerful country in the history of the world, and the system is set up like this, don't you think that that's kind of a problem?
Yeah.
And it's designed to never change. Unless a group of rabble-rousers stand in the middle and say it doesn't have to be this way, it's never going to change. Well, we're just obnoxious enough to say it doesn't. It can. If we get enough people that have the passion in their life to say, I want to be a part of this one way or another, and I'm going to show at the end what those parts are, there's a place. But it says, man, but if someone decides to do that, we've got to have low capital entry. Well, it costs $2,000 to get licensed through the state of California. That would have stopped me from doing the business. Primerica says it costs, the FBI does a background check, costs $200. Here's the deal, split it with us. You pay $100, they'll pay the other $2,000. Someone can get licensed with us. We pay for all the licenses. That's not a bad process, right? We need a partnership platform, right? We talked about the need for a leverageable system. This is our symbol. This is what we do. There are 2,000 people right now in Duluth, Georgia, who love designing insurance products. They're nuts. They dream about it. They think in charts and crap. Like that, I talk to them like, are you kidding me? Like, oh, wait till you see what we did, Sears. I'm like, you're nuts. But they love it. But you know how amazing it is to have people who love what they do in a partnership with us? Because they manufacture amazing services for this group of people. And they say, man, all we need is people that can take it to people and we'll make sure they're taken care of. We said, man, we got an amazing back office because I am an administrative nightmare. I am not the most organized human being in the history of the world. Man, I make lists really well. The problem is I misplace them. Right? So it's like, look, man, you find out I got a piece of paper everywhere. Check. Everyone's like, yeah, here's your list, here's your list. Everyone's like, man, you're really organized. You're really dedicated to your list. I go, no, I can't find the one I just did until yesterday. But we said, man, if we have a back office company that can have high level expertise of service and development to make sure our clients and our associates run through that process and it needs to get done. I was talking to Stace, she runs our back office hub, and she's like, it was such an amazing thing today. She goes, what? She goes, we had a client that needed to change their beneficiary. I've done the annual follow-up for the agent. They needed to go through. So the client went back and forth. We got everything handled. They didn't fill it out right. We didn't get it done. We got it handled, right? And she's like, and all of it was over email. And the client got complete. And I go, what the agent says? She goes, the agent doesn't need to know. They're part-time. Right? High level quality and service. So then she shot an email to the agent, said, hey, just wanted to let you know this got done. Right? Your business grew. The agent reached out to the client. The client was fired up because they had a high level of service. Something needed to get done. They understood their business grew while they were at their job. This client is now open to realizing the power of Primerica is going to introduce them to somebody that needs to hear the story. And that's because the back office support system was built, designed for it. Guys, the system is unbelievable. And then it needs to be worth it. There's not a big red cross downstairs on the, right? Right? Look, I'm a for-profit guy. Right? I believe, look, if we empower people, we give them an opportunity to be responsible for what they're doing, we give them the support systems, it's good to be profitable. So we sat down and said, man, I love this meeting. We do this for our clients that come in, and it was one of my favorite things because I believe that there's a place for everyone. We go, man, our business is built on this. The first thing is we need allies. We need everyone in our corner. Someone says, serious, I want to do this. I go, good. The most important thing you can do is get the 10 most important people in your corner. You mean they got to buy? No, they don't buy crap. They are joint. No, we need them to understand and support what we're doing. Patrick, this is the first time you've heard this. Do you believe that 70 million people kind of are stuck in this area? Does that make sense? Does that sound like a good problem or a bad problem? Pretty bad problem. If there was a legitimate way to solve it, would that be pretty cool? Yeah. And so if Cindy was passionate about solving that, would you go, man, that's pretty good. I thought your mom, she's kicking some butt. That's awesome. Could you feel good about that? Yeah. You are an ally. Congratulations. There's an unbelievable place for you to go, man, that's fantastic. Don't we like attaboys?
Yes.
Isn't it more fun to have someone go, man, I'm proud of what you're doing rather than, oh, you changed the world yet? Right? It's an opportunity to say, man, there's a place that's valuable. Arturo, that's a valuable thing to be able to have that support. Now, there's going to be some that are going to become advocates. People that get emotionally involved. That say, man, I know my cousin just got laid off and wants to do something different. Or so-and-so just got married. Or such and such want to do something different. Or I got into a conversation with someone and they're not making enough money. They're stuck. But man, they're entrepreneurs. How amazing was it if someone popped in your head as someone who wanted to do something different for you to go, Cindy, there's someone I need you to talk to. You need to talk to my uncle. Man, he's passionate. He's fired up and he's focused. He's just not in a vehicle to do something. Or he saw this and saw you. Man, he could be amazing at changing people's lives. How great would that feel? If you thought of that uncle like that, is there any reason you wouldn't go, Cindy, you got to meet this guy? That's an opportunity for an advocate. Imagine if a year from now, you had 50, 75, 100 people in your corner, Cindy, that all understood what you stood for, what you were building, and were emotionally involved with creating the solution for this cause. And all they had to do was when they tripped over someone who wanted to be an entrepreneur, they said, man, I know someone you should talk to. Man. They're great people, want to help. We all want to be a part of a solution. We just don't know how we fit. And then there's some that are going to be associates. There's some that are going to go like, hey, what you're doing is unbelievable. Man, my uncle needs this. Hey, if I help my uncle, can I change my life too? And we said, if we're going to really close this access gap, we got to have a solution for Main Street families that say, here's a path to ownership. We said we create a position we call GAPs. They're gathering asset partners. What's that? I know lots of people that have no interest in building a business. They love what they're doing. But we just don't make enough money. And we said, look, There's a real dilemma that's coming in this country. There's 10,000 people turning 65 years old every day for the next 19 years. The last baby boomer turned 50. In 19 years, they're 69 years old. Social Security right now is 67. In the next 19 years, it's going to be 69. It's the first generation that's ever had access to a 401k, ever. Their parents all have pensions. Do they have any idea how to handle $291,000 or $631,000 or $1.3 million? Have financial advisors ever talked to them? They make $73,000 a year. Has a financial advisor ever said, do they know how to discuss and plan? No. You guys understand the nightmare that is coming in this country over the next 10 and 15 years? Because the really sophisticated financial advisors who understand all the nooks and crannies of what's going on in the world get to go in and see our aunt and uncle who've worked as a machinist for 40 years that have $291,000 retirement. No one's ever talked to them, and here comes a financial advisor rolling in saying, let me help.
Right.
Do you understand the nightmare that is coming?
Yeah.
We said, look, what if our part-timers, what if our gaps say, no, we got access to managed accounts. Here's an unbelievable product and service designed for us. And it can grow passive income. $1 million of money under management is $4,300 a year in passive income. Now that might not be a lot with let's say someone started with us part-time at 55. And by the time they were 65, they had $5 million of assets under management. That'd pay them $1,800 a month in passive income. Understand this. At a 5% rate of return, that's about $22,000. That's the equivalent of having $600 grand saved. If someone started with us as a gap, in over 5 years, just helped 10 families a year and accumulated $5 million just going through, it's as though they saved almost $700,000 in capital based on the passive income. You think with this we could change some worlds and some lives?
Yeah.
We got our part-timers. Man, we got people who love what they do. Put an extra $500 to $1,000 a month. This is the greatest part-time opportunity in the history of the world. You know why? Because we happen to be distributing financial services. How many of you would like to save 50% or more in your car insurance? All of us. How many of us make the call? None of us. Because if we thought we had a problem, we'd do it. Do we have a problem? Yeah, there's 70 million of us stuck. But if we have one of our part-timers help 1 or 2 families a month, protect their family, lock in their advances, right? Establish the right habits, roll over those, the ability to make real money. Not wreck your life. Right? We have a Saturday morning meeting. We do this meeting every other week. This is our big commitment. Woo! Other than that, you see 1 or 2 families a month, the ability part-time to learn and change families' lives opens up the door. We're going to have some part-timers that want to become full-timers. There are people that say, man, I think I like this. Man, I like making a difference. I like entrepreneurship. I like teaching people how to do this. I like teaching what I know. I like building allies and advocates. Man, this is kind of fun. If over the next 6 months to the year, I can develop some skills, I can learn some resources, I can develop a support system, I can build some passive income, man, I can transition out of my job. Fantastic. And then there are some entrepreneurs, some Main Street entrepreneurs, we call them team owners, that say, man, maybe I can be in 5 cities in 10 years. And we sat down and said, man, we're going to do something, but we're going to teach people the power of ownership is because of passive income, revenue, and profit. It's what makes it different. I didn't know this. This is the thing that Sue's dad didn't teach her. This is the thing Wade's dad didn't teach him. Is the benefit of passive income, revenue, and profit. Every business functions that way. The work we do this month is our revenue. We've all experienced that at our jobs, right? Coca-Cola, right? Your revenue is trade time for money. Do we get paid based on the routes, the clients, the coaches, everything we did over the last 5 years? No, but does the company we work for? Yeah. If UB goes in and creates a new distributor for Coca-Cola, a new company, a new office, and he grows a new expansion, Coke still makes the benefit from the work UB did 6 years ago. That's profit. That's passive income. And profit is the ability to open up new locations and have the same system run. A new location create new revenue and new passive income. We don't get to experience that. That's the wealth. So we said, well, wait a second here. If we wanted to break this associate down, we like this gap that's part-time, but we should at least talk about the ownership. If we want to close this one generation plan, what's it really look like? So we said, look, here's what it looks like. Passive income. If you had $15 million of money under management personally as what's called a vice president, and then let's say you have $30 million to your team, you have 30 districts with $1 million each, you understand that that pays you $200,000 in passive income. That's not bad. First of every month, $16,500. It's not bad. That's a good day. Your revenue. Let's say you build an office that helps 30 families. Now, we have 7 people taking their test next Wednesday. Really excited about that. In the room, right? Things are starting to grow. But look, the reality is we got about 30 active licenses that are starting to grow. If you build a business that helps 30 families a month. So here's our big thing. If we can teach the 30 how to help 1, are we changing the world? For those 30. But that'll pay the vice president between $12 and $16,000 a month. That starts to make real money, doesn't it? But here's where I love, this is my favorite part. As an RVP, if you grow somebody to go through this process and you teach them how to become a vice president, and they build a team that helps 15 families. I had good conversations with Sue. She's really starting to get things going up in Cricket, and conversation with David and Lisa. They're in Florida, really starting to get things going, really breaking this stuff down, right? When they build a team that helps 15 families in a month, they're gonna make $10,000, $12,000 a month, but I make a $6,200 profit because they're running it without me. Well, I'm not the greatest at math. For $6,000 a month, about $72,000 a year. With me? So if I have 1, that's about 72. If I have 2, it's about 140. If I have 3, it's about 210. If I have 4, it's about 280. And with 5, it's $350,000 a year in profit. So we looked at this and said, well, if we can make $200,000 in passive income, $200,000 in revenue, and $350,000 in profit, that's $750,000 a year, 5-6 years from now. Now, have I done anything overly critical? Hopefully not. What have we done? We've built allies. They ignite the movement. We build advocates as a support system, and we build a place for our associates. Whether it's a GAP, a player, or our team owners. Right? We had 8 or 9 people that sent me a text. A couple people are sick, a couple people at work, some people couldn't make it, some family, right? Not here today. In my old business, it was you suck. You're not going to win. You know what? We had said, man, we're going to create a great place for our part-timers. The goal is for you to get value. The goal is for your life to be better when you're here, to realize that there's a piece, there's something here, but to fit this into your life. Right? We're going to talk to entrepreneurs about entrepreneurs, but there's a space that says, man, we want everyone in our life to understand what we're doing. If we run across someone who wants to be a part of something special, man, I know there's someone you should meet. And if there's a space for you to say, man, what if I was a part of this? Maybe my life could be a little bit different. Maybe I could learn how to be an entrepreneur. Maybe I could have someone teach me step by step how to do it. What impact would that have? The reason we run this meeting every other week is we call it our AAA'z Night. Our allies, our advocates, and our associates. The only thing, my #1 job, all of the speakers' job tonight, was for you to say, man, what you're doing is pretty good. There's a real problem. The solution seems real. And I think the opportunity can make it. If we've done that, we've done our job. Anything beyond that, there's a space for it. Right? This movement continues. We're going to be back here February 11th. I'm hoping that I don't have the twins yet. February 20th, right? But we're growing. We said, man, we want to make sure this is a tool for everyone in the room. This is a tool for you to leverage, to be able to say, man, maybe there's someone that needs to hear this. This is why we create this. This is an opportunity to grow. We're here on Saturday mornings from 9 to 11. Right? We got a licensing training class for the folks that are taking their test. We're going to spend a couple hours on making sure you're ready to take the test. Right? We go, man, we're going to walk through this, right? A lot of us haven't taken tests in a long time. So we said, man, we're going to give you every step, every tool we need to make sure we move through this process. Guys, if this access gap is real, if you go, that's true, There's a whole bunch of people who make between $225,000 and $250,000, and there's no one showing up. Every once in a while, someone goes, "Serious, why do you take this approach? Why is this?" Because the 15 of us can't stand in the gap for 70 million. 150 of us could take care of this community. 1,500 of us could take care of this valley. 15,000 of us could take care of Southern California. 50,000 of us could take care of California. 150,000 of us could take care of the West. 1.5 million of us could change it. What do we build it to? As big as you can see. The opportunity is real. The need is enormous, and the timing is now. So I want to thank you guys so much for coming. Any questions, we'll be around. If you can join us on Saturday, fantastic. With water in the back. Guys, I love you. Thanks so much for coming. Have a great night.
You need to get like a clapper ready to
I know,
go.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, so we all have to-